Hello everyone, welcome to Yard Talk. I'm Maddie. Um, this week is going to look a little bit different. I am on my own. Um, there's lots of changes once again happening in my life. I recently moved back to Saskatchewan. Um, so new job. Well, I went back to my old job, but I also started two new jobs. So I'm working at a detox and um, first stage of recovery, I guess you could say. And then my other job is second stage, so sober living. And then I start my practicum here next week. Super excited about that. I'm going to be learning how to facilitate programs for parents and children. And then they also want me to create a program for parents in shelters to reconnect with their children. So I'm super excited about that. It's going to be interesting. I worked, as you guys know, I worked in a shelter for almost 9-10 months, I think it was. Actually, no, closer to a year. I guess that's close to a year, but anyways, yeah. So I'm going to utilize all the knowledge that I have within that experience, and I'm going to help parents reconnect with their children, and I'm super excited about that because I did do a lot of work um, while working at the shelter to help parents reconnect with their children, just in a little bit of a different way. So yeah, lots of change. I'm in Saskatchewan. Um, New job, start my practicum. I'm still in school. I see the end of the tunnel though, which I'm super excited about. Um, and with my full-time position at the detox and first stage of recovery, it's different to go from the job I had before dealing with people in active addiction to seeing individuals and dealing with individuals daily who are in recovery. It is amazing. It is most definitely different, to say the least. But I really have educated myself in the short period of time that I have been there and utilize my knowledge from seeing the other side of things, and it's amazing to hear everyone's stories. So yeah, like each day they do have like a structured program, but like I'm able to sit in on some of their programming and hear people's stories and see their lifestyle of where they came from to where they are now and how they got to where they are now. Yeah, it's awesome to hear the stories. And with that, like a couple days ago, I sat in and I listened to an older gentleman talk about his recovery. And listening to his story, he had said, don't think about the choices I made in life, look at the similarities. And that like stuck with me. And throughout him telling his story, that's what I looked at. And I looked inward on myself and I was able to say like, think to myself of everyone has their stories. Everyone's journey is different, but again, look at those similarities. Um, Everyone deals with challenges in life so differently. It's just a matter of the way somebody wants to heal their traumas, their triggers, the things that they hold within themselves. Um, And again, like one thing that I'm starting to educate myself on is the 12 steps. So like admitting what your problem is. Why do you turn to alcohol? Why do you turn to substances? Admitting that, yes, I have a problem. I'm turning to alcohol because so blah, 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 whatever the case may be. So being able to admit that you're feeling, you have a sense of loss of power, I guess. is step number one into healing. Always reflecting inward on yourself, knowing that you have to deal with your traumas. You have to deal with your triggers. If you're not dealing with that and you're continuing to push it down and push it down and push it down, that's why people relapse. You may feel confident now, but a year, 2 years from now, when you experience a loss of a loved one, or someone comes at you and it was like a situation that happened 2 years ago, that can trigger you, that can bring up all your past history and create a response where you go straight tunnel vision and you're looking for your substance, your DOC. So being able to acknowledge what your problem is and then turn to a higher power, whatever that looks like to you, if it's God, if it's creator, if it's whoever that higher power is to you, because there's something out there, whether people want to believe it or not, that is watching over you. It could be your guardian angels, whatever you want to turn to ask your higher power for guidance in your journey to recovery, to help you. Turn to them. Ask for that assistance throughout that day or whatever. Ask for the hope. One thing that I've been doing, and that I've heard helps many people in recovery, I'm just doing it more so for healing of my own self, but like looking at the stages of life. So I started stages of life from 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25. So in that, I'm looking at 0 to 5. Okay, what happened in my life from 0 to 5? What are the things that surface for me, and what are the emotions that come up, and how can I deal with that? So that's acknowledging things that have happened and shows that you're working through it. You're accepting the things that have happened in your life. And maybe, and this goes on into like the later steps of the 12 steps of recovery, is making amends to those people. So in that stage of life of different stages that you're doing, like some people may do it like 6, 7, 8, 9, not focus on a 5-year gap. But within the time of your life, you're going to have people that have bullied you, that have maybe give you your first substance ever, or gave you whatever the case may be, but making amends to those people and just recognizing that it may not have been their fault, or maybe you did something to have triggered that person. So recognizing both sides of the story and coming to the realization of, I guess, acceptance, to be able to accept the situation, maybe apologize to that person, or just accept that certain situation had occurred, so that you're able to deal with that emotion, accept it, and move forward. But within that, it takes a very long time to heal. It's not going to be, okay, I'm going to do this stage of my life and I'm going to be healed. You may have accepted and made amends and done all that. You're still going to have situations come up that one you may have forgot about when you were doing your stages of life, or you may have, it may just resurface. It's not, things in life aren't just always going to go away. You're going to see that person and you're going to remember that one thing that they did to you, and it's just a way of finding your healthy supports, being able to turn to them and open up and utilize them so you can lean on them. And it's hard to ask for help sometimes. And that's kind of, I was in one of my classes for my practicum this morning, and they said, during this next 15 weeks, you're going to have to lean on someone. So kind of get used to it now kind of thing. So it's okay to lean on somebody. People probably tell you every day, it's okay, like, lean on me. You're going through something tough. Lean on me. Like, that's what people in active addiction, but also in recovery need, just like anybody who's struggling with mental health, they need that person to lean on. So having those people come up to them and be like, hey, it's okay to lean on me. That's sometimes what people need to hear. But then again, when somebody goes through their 12 steps and they're in recovery, it's also good to utilize everything that you've gained to be able to turn and help other people along the way. So like what I've seen in the program that I'm in is, that I'm working in, is people are nearing the end of their program and they're like, well, you know what? I'm a welder, I work on the rigs, or I'm in this field and I just think I need to switch fields. Like, I'm really interested in the role that you play in this community. And, like, I'm really thinking of a career change. And then the next thing I'm saying is like, that's a huge change. You're going from being a welder or working like those types of jobs, and you're going to come into this field. One, that's a huge pay cut, typically, depending on the role you're playing if you don't have any education. That's one thing you have to accept and change. If you're wanting to accept that lifestyle change, it comes with a lot of other things. Coming out of addiction, a lot of individuals may not work. They may be on the streets. They may work. They may be like, depending on the situation, but lots of it, like I said, does come with change. So being able to accept that change, I don't know, for myself, I struggle with change. And I guess, as you guys have heard over the last few podcasts, is I moved from BC to Saskatchewan, from Saskatchewan back to BC, from BC back to Saskatchewan, all within not even 6 months. Since September, October, so it is now January. So within a very short period of time, I have moved 3 times, and not just around the corner. I've moved about 13 hours. So change is hard, and then to get into a whole new routine and a whole new job, it's a lot, especially when somebody is in recovery. They're already making all these changes. Well, one, they've already accepted that they have an issue. They're dealing with that issue. So then they're going to go from being in active addiction to basically having a careless attitude towards lots of things in their life, to having to learn how to love again, having to learn a whole new structure and routine of life, possibly going back to work, possibly going even back into society. So everything involves change within recovery, or going from active addiction into recovery, into society. It all is change. And I think that's where people get scared when they're making those steps, is because change is hard, to say the least. Anyways, back to the stages of life. I remember when I went to a body talk session, and the girl that was doing it, it was just like a quick, because it was like a free one, so it was like 20 minutes. One thing that she said to me, she was like, okay, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to think of when you were 5 years old. And I think I had mentioned this in one of the previous videos. So when I was going through my stages of life again, this came up. So I didn't remember. I can't remember, 3 or 5 years old. But anyways, I did not remember in that moment. I just burst out into tears. I had no idea why. And then she kind of went into explaining, and I was like, I don't know. So then on my drive home, it was about 30, 40 minutes, and I kind of just reflected on the whole session I had with her, and I thought to myself, I'm like, when I was that age, I was like, my parents got a divorce. So that's why I broke out into tears. But like, what are the odds someone remembers when they were 3 years old, 5 years old? Not a lot of people do. Like, I truthfully don't really remember from the age of like 0 to 10. Like, from birth, it's like a blur. I don't remember. So like, sitting in your emotions and stuff is very difficult. But to be able to reflect and surface those things, it releases that blockage to open up, to remember, and to face those things that occurred in your timeline, to be able to heal that. So you're not turning to those substances to numb that pain from those ages that you don't remember. Another thing that really got me when I was listening to this gentleman's story was just the way, the timeline of life. And so for myself, I guess, I lost a lot of individuals. I don't know where that book is right now, but I lost a lot of individuals in my life. So I lost my uncle when I was 8. I lost my grandma when I was 10. I lost my grandpa when I was 12. I lost 6 of my friends when I was 13, following another 2 friends when I was 14. And like, it just went on, and it felt like it was never ending. It was person after person, and it came to the point where I thought to myself, like, who's next? Like, it just felt like every year I was losing one person, if not more than one person, and it was a cycle. So obviously at the age of 8, when I lost my uncle, I did not think to turn to alcohol or substances. But then after I lost 6 of my friends, I want to say I would have just turned 14. Before that, I lost my grandma. Like, I started drinking a lot more after I lost 6 of my friends. So like, you notice those patterns of things to try and cope with things. A lot of things even happened prior to, I don't know why that shut off. Sorry. A lot of things happened, even prior to them passing away. But moral of what I'm trying to say is, you notice patterns in life, and it's the way people approach those situations. Like, I turned to other things. I didn't turn to healthy ways of being able to cope with 6 of my friends passing away. How is a 13-year-old supposed to cope with the loss of 6 friends when they don't even understand loss themselves? They don't know how to grieve. They don't know how to cope with their emotions. So that's one thing that I would like to educate other people on, is, one, how to cope with the loss of a loved one. Maybe for children, and then maybe for teenagers, and then maybe for adults. Like, maybe you guys can give me a little bit of insight of ways that you maybe want to see, or like what you want to hear from me, what where you lack of education within that, of loss. I have experienced a lot of loss in my life of many different relationships, whether it's grandparents, cousins, family, whatever, boyfriend, friends. I've experienced a significant amount of loss, and over the years of not only healing myself, but being able to accept that they're gone and heal the relationship that we had had. Like I've had like obviously every relationship that you have, there's ups and downs. So after they have passed, I've reflected on each individual relationship and accepted the relationship that me and that person had and forgave them and reflected inward on myself of what I had learned in that relationship and how I can fix myself moving forward. Like, for example, with my boyfriend who had passed away, obviously we were together for over 3 years. In those 3 years, we went through a lot. It was a roller coaster. We started out in high school. I graduated, he graduated, I was in college, he went to college. Like, that's a change in life, which created a lot of issues in our life. And it wasn't easy. But after he passed away, I reflected on that. I was able to heal from that. And now moving forward in my future relationships, I am able to try and be 100% myself and not reflect back to those relationships or bring those traits into my new relationships. So again, back to the whole healing. To be able to heal yourself, you have to accept everything that's happened in your life to be able to have healthy relationships, love yourself, love somebody else, be 100% for your children, accepting that there is a issue. Maybe you're turning to substances, whatever the case may be. Maybe you're addicted to going to the gym. I don't know. Like, there are boundaries within everything. But being able to reflect inward on yourself and accept those things and accept everything that you've done and accept the flaws and mistakes that you've made in your journey to recovery, or maybe newly in recovery, you have to accept everything that you've done. And in the end, nothing defines who you are as a person, no matter the mistake that you had made. Because everything happens for a reason. We just have to learn to accept, turn that over to the higher power, and just continue to be the best version of ourselves. So I'm excited to look a little bit more at the healing side of things in mental health and addiction. If you guys have any suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. I think my number's on there. There's an email on there. Comment on the YouTube channel. I'm excited to hear from you guys, and I hope that this kind of helps you view some things a little bit differently and shows a little bit of the challenges that some people face going into recovery, because it's difficult. So I hope to hear from you guys. Thank you.